Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So over the last 30 days, I've been absolutely all over the place on this build. We have got our rotating assembly put back together. It is rotating. I have my modified K20 oil pump. It is bolted in. We're moving forward with the, there's a little restrictor that I need to pull out and get this girdle bolted in. We got that going on. I have been working on the axle tube. We've done final weld up. I'm still coming up with some new bracing ideas and some templating on that. I'm gonna show you guys that. But I've been all over the place, from wiring to the motor to welding supports in. I'm gonna go over everything I've been up to and show you a little more right now. So here we have our updated and upgraded K20 style oil pump and girdle setup in our K24. This is a much nicer setup. Everyone switches over to these for good reason. Provides better oiling at higher RPM, and when we get this thing put back together, we don't want any weird limitations. If we actually decide to try to push the motor a little further than we should, last thing I want to worry about is my oil pump setup, so I'm putting the final touches on this right now. I have a restrictor I have to pull out and plug and then get this bolted in, and this will more or less be done. You guys can see I've been having a real good time with cardboard. We have this guy right here, and that's ultimately going to be welded in up the top of that box. This bottom point will tie into this tube. I got another little guy. Come here, little guy. Deep, deep, deep. It's gonna be there. It'll fold in and it'll be the connecting piece from here to here. After that's down there. These are the left and right supports of the upper link system. We got those worked out pretty good. And then for our actual shock mounts, let's see. Got that to go in right there. And you know that you've done a halfway decent job when the same template, boom, works on both sides. So we got some symmetrical symmetry going on with our axle tube. That should be getting pretty close to it. I still have to box this in front and back. It needs to be boxed all the way around. Clean this up, just dress it up before the powder coat. Clean up some of my big duty welds. And I mean, it's really getting close though, guys. We got the supports templated out, and we have all of that transferred over to our piece of steel, and that's all ready to get cut out and welded up. And you know, that's gonna get us pretty close on the axle tube. So when that's done, we can actually move to the truck and start final weld up on the chassis and everything that I've done on that as well. I've begun work on the wiring harness extension for the little truck. It's pretty straightforward. It's all going to be plug and play. We did a little short on the wiring harness, and I just wanted to go into a little more depth on what's going on. So we're going to convert the motor to the K20 harness because it's the most popular one. So we have that harness is for the K20, it's going on the K24. We'll just have to replace a couple of sensors that have different pigtails, but that's not a big deal. I've got the hybrid racing universal K-Swap harness adapter. This will give power to what needs the bare bones of what the K2024 needs to operate. That all comes together right here in this little guy. So I bought this online, and this represents where normally the wiring harness would plug right into the ECU, right? Plug it into the ECU, ECU tells everything what to do, gives it power and direction. Well, all I needed was this little portion right here. So forget about this now. This is our mock-up beginning of the extension. Our harness is going to plug in here. This is going to plug in here. I have one more for the universal swap portion from hybrid, and on the harness it would plug in on this opposing side, but I either have to order another one of these just for that, but it's so few wires I might just do like a universal block. So we have this portion. We have our big jumble of wire here. It's every pin and connector that we need to make it to our Haltech Elite. It's all going to come together right there. Haltech makes a universal plug kit. So we have this. So I guess at the end of the day, I'm going to be taking this plug system right here, this bundle of wire, and just stretching it out and pinning it to this guy. And that's going to get all of our ECU needs. It's going to give us the ability to run the IC7 digital display inside of the truck. We have a wiring harness diagram that goes from here to here. So we're pretty set on that. It's just going to be a very tedious job of stripping all the wires on one end and then crimping on these bad boys, and then that's a technical term. And then we'll be running that to this plug. We have the same style connector pins on this, and we'll have to crimp all of those on. And that'll get the ECU communicating with our wiring harness. And there's gonna be a couple of bumps along the way, but it'll more or less give us the ability to start the truck up, put a base map on there, and then eventually get it to the dyno and get everything dialed in. And like I didn't have enough going on with the project vehicles that are just scattered about my little home shop, I was working on the Sylvia the other day. I was like, all right, I'm pretty close on this bad boy. I have an issue with the starter. It's not getting power, it's not getting ground. It's a pretty easy problem to solve with a voltmeter. Either it's not getting the 12 volts that it needs to kick over, or it's simply not getting grounded. And I was like, you know what, I actually have a little time to look at this. So hold down the button, lift goes up in the air, right? But I hear something. Like it has like the tunk, tunk, tunk of the locks actually going off, and that's pretty loud on this particular lift. But there was an extra sound that I heard, and I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. While I was going up, I noticed that this post right here, it was that. This thing actually kicked a shim out of the backside of it, so concrete's never perfectly level, and it had begun every time it would hit a lock, it would pull in and pop back out, which was terrifying in the moment. I really got in a hurry and came over here and released, these have manual locks, so I released this lock, released that lock, and let it back down nice, quick, and smooth. The good news is that the actual bolts and the anchors for the lift, they're still good. What happened was the unevenness of the concrete allowed one of the shims, there's these little still like U-shaped shims that they'll put on the low spots of the concrete to get everything perfectly level when they install these. And one of them had somehow managed to kick its way out. So we have the guys for the lift coming back out on Monday. It's not a huge deal because the concrete anchors are still there. They haven't moved. Nothing's actually let loose. It's just one of those leveling shims came out. And I don't know how bad it could have been, but I know how bad it could have been. But luckily that was called in time. So I was like, man, we're so close to the Sylvia finally starting up. I've been working on this thing not as long as a little truck, but it's another project that's got carried away around here. And it just goes to show you, just when you think that you got something finally getting finished up, there's always gonna be a bit of chaos that gets thrown in the way. But we're gonna get that fixed, and we're just gonna keep pushing on, man, because that's what we gotta do. All right, so we've gone over the oil pump upgrade, the wiring harness, the axle tube. Let's see, I recently bunged the valve cover, the intake manifold, and the timing cover are all at the shop for powder coat. I just have to carve out a little bit of time during my regular workday, which is seemingly impossible at times, but I need to get some powder coating done for myself. I'm gonna get this bolted down. That will finish up the oil pan. Need to get the bracing cut out, but you guys got a pretty good idea of where I'm at, what I've been up to for the last month or so. So I'm gonna go ahead and get back to work. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode, the update episode, what I've been up to. And please guys, remember, like, subscribe, comment, follow along with the shorts. Right now we're pumping the shorts out, and it will kind of give you a better idea in detail what's been going on around here. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we'll see you on the next one.